Deho is still with us in the studio, and we thank you for staying with us as social commentator. We also have Obani Akinwale, another social commentator, joining us right now. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to have you join us. Now, let me start with you here. Now, if you listen to what Femi Kayode said there about the federal government overstepping its bound, now we know that what the government is doing now is a follow-up to what the court, they got the court order to do this. Yeah. But in a situation where the court knows that some of these people have pending cases in court, some of them have not been tried, and the court gave the go-ahead for them to release names of alleged looters. How much of a circumvention of the law is this by the courts itself?
Yeah, I think one of the most given of the democracy or modern world is the frame suspect or convict. By law, somebody is still a suspect until convicted by a law court. But you agree with me that in the olden days, if a thief is catching the market, people will either link the person or take the person to the palace, and it is direct judgment. But unfortunately for us in the modern day, you have to go to law courts. And the question we need to ask ourselves is, who is a looter? Is a plunderer. What are they plundering? General resources. Is General Colonel Sambo Dasuki CBN governor? Is a warehouse for money? Is it the chief campaigner for a political party? Has it been identified that a certain amount of money was released to his office? Has it been, at any point in time, have we been able to see that did he give money out to people? But it's so unfortunate that my uncle, like Femi Kayode, is a lawyer. And you understand that for every naira and combo you spend or you sign for, you must be sure where the money is coming from. So when you form a PDP campaign committee, you have a former minister of finance there. They know what are the ethics of what money to spend and not to be spent. So the government is actually right to say they are looters, because the fact has been established, the fact that these people actually take money out of our commonwealth to fund a political campaign. And if you look at every other...
When you say that government is right in calling these people looters. Yes. And you use the word, unfortunately, we don't operate the kind of justice system we used to in the olden days. Yes. Are you saying that you would recommend that olden days style? I mean, Oshiomhole, former governor of Edo State, only in the last 24 hours said that this government is not ruthless enough against looters. What kind of society would we have then if that is how we want to punish alleged looters?
Yeah, exactly. It's unfortunate that the so-called modern system of governance, three arm of government, executive have to allege, take to judiciary to convict, is giving us this mess. I will tell you sincerely, yours, that if you ask an ordinary Nigerian on the street that what is your take of an average politician in Nigeria, the first thing they will tell you is that they are thieves. For example, the National Assembly, for instance, in 2008 or thereabout, appropriate how much they are going to be collecting. I see it as looting. The minimum wage in Nigeria is less than 30,000 or 18,000 or thereabout. So what I would advocate is we have a very slow judicial system. And unfortunately, the Legal Aid Council, Nigeria Bar Association, they are not helping matters. The reality is that if TVC perhaps alleged me that I took this cup home, yes. The reality is that I will take him to magistrate court at Igbo, and they will say to put me behind bar for such a number of days.
What if we decided to stone you just because there's an allegation that you have stolen?
That's the only way I'm saying. But if TVC
would it be right then?
I'm not asking for jungle justice.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that in those situations, you call somebody a thief, there are evidence to call the person a thief, everybody knows that that person is a thief. And before now, it is not logical, it is immoral for you to say you steal a penny from the civil service or from the government pocket. But nowadays, what our reasons are serving as government officials of being bureaucrat or democrat is simply because we want to go and make more money.
Charles Sudeho, do you agree with that line?
I totally don't agree, because what Akinwale is going back to the antediluvian years.
The state of nature.
Honestly, we've gone beyond that point. Okay. I mean, we are in this what you call civilized society. Things must be done using processes, which is why we have set, a body of laws that must govern the way we relate, the way we do certain things, so that one man will not stand and be the be-all and end-all of us all. I totally disagree with Femi Kayode that is saying that the executive is usurping the power of the judiciary. No, it's not, because Even though I'm not fazed by the release of the list, that's another aspect. What the executive has done is that this is the list of the alleged looters that are facing trials. The executive has not convicted them in any way. I mean, I say we are all media men here. We follow what they have done is that because even the PDP has even said that challenging them. If you are saying that you have evidence or you have the list of people who said looted this, release the list. Okay, these are the list of suspected or alleged looters. They have not said they have convicted them. So,
but in releasing this list, did the government say this is the list of alleged? Did they use the word alleged? They released the list of looters.
What I'm saying first that it was the PDP that fired the first salvo. To say if you have any evidence or if you have any list with you, release them.
Oh. So why did it have to take that challenge from Logbondinho, the PDP spokesperson, for the APC to, the APC government to release this list of
That's exactly what I'm
looters?
saying, that he is clamoring for a civilized society. And I'm saying that we need a saner society. See, civility is what is dragging us to all this. The reality is that I will come tomorrow and slap him on the set.
But civility and
sanity,
I'm coming. They are not.
Civility
and sanity are
Let me explain to you, they are not.
Okay, let's hear his argument.
In a saner society, let's take, for example, South Korea. The former president was alleged to have been doing something. They use their system to track him down and get him convicted. And you find out that the corruption index in those countries are minimal compared to so-called imported civilized system of governance we're using in Africa. So what you find out is that it is only in Africa that civility is when you are ex-president, you are ex-senate president, you're untouchable. Civility is when you are a government official, when you have your money bag, you take about 27 or 32 cents to court, and you find out that they keep adjourning and adjourning. So is that what you call civility? So that's why I'm saying that in a saner society, which we should try to emulate, not importing what will not work for our system. The reality is that a period of trial, for example, let's take Code of Conduct Tribunal for Saraki, for example. He's been there since 2015 as Senate President. He's going to run that number of 4 years. We'll see half case in court. Will that happen in a saner society? It will not. So when we are saying civility and we are saying that we need to draw the line.
Put them in context.
Exactly. So in Nigeria, what I'm trying to put together is that in those days, if you are alleged to have stolen somebody, people will carry broom, beat you from there to the palace. It's not just, they don't kill you. They take you to the palace, and what have you stolen? This is the evidence. You are convicted immediately.
That was a justice system.
But what justice are we running now? The justice we are running now is justice for the rich. If you and I were caught doing the same thing you guys are doing, you will see somebody stole.
Or a justice system for those who are on my side of the divide against those who are on the other side.
That's what I'm saying. Different thing. That's what I'm saying.
Which is what Nigerians are saying, that how come the names on this looters list are names
alleged.
Yeah, well, alleged. Thank you. Are names from the other side.
Reality is this.
Are there no looters
reality
on this side?
On this side.
Reality is this. If you carry a hoe and you want to make an heap, you will never turn your hoe this way. You will always make your hoe to face you. So the reality is that the government in power needs to be seen to be doing something. And that's why I said, in a saner society, this is not what is obtainable. The fact that you're a member of Chinese Communist Party doesn't mean that if you commit crime, you will not be punished. But in our own imported system, if a armed robber, convicted armed robber, decided today, for example, let's take Onanefe James Ibori, for example. He's a warlord in South now. He's a celebrated person. He was even saying it to the temerity that he installed a governor from the prison. Is that obtainable anywhere in the world? Has he been convicted in Nigeria? And that's why I'm saying that we're importing so-called civilization, that it is at aberrant with our own system of governance. And that's why I'm saying that the APC or Alhaji Lai Mohammed will never. The reality is this. Using the word of Senator Sheikh Usmani, he said,
air freshener and
they're terrorizing their colleagues and using repellent for the opposition. And it is normal.
Charles, the concept of releasing this looters list, put it in the public domain, let people know, to what aim at the end of the day?
That's why I said I wasn't fazed by the release, because he gave a certain example. I mean, what use is the list when the people are still working free? That's where I want to. My argument is not about whether it's sane or civility. Mine is that what will the list do at the end of the day? Okay, we know now you have released the list. We now know who they are. What happened next? What I should rather be advocating is, let us set up, since he said the wheel of justice it grinds too slowly, what we should do is that let us come up with creative ideas. Perhaps we can set up even specialized tribunals. Which
has been recommended by...
Exactly, tribunals was okay. You, rather than use the conventional courts, you know that this thing over time to take, then you could just set up specialized tribunals that will hear these cases. And then nobody should be seen as too big. He mentioned the Ms. Park going high of South Korea.
Yes.
I mean, also when you become the president of South Korea, that presidency has imperial powers, but only for 5 years.
Not forgetting Lula da Silva of
Brazil.
So the imperial power you have, you only win very powerful position, but after 5 years you become another president.
So that's
exactly what we should be looking for.
Do we need to go to the fundamentals now? As against fighting corruption the way we are right now, which seems to be fighting the symptoms rather than
fighting the cause.
The cause itself.
Should
we begin to look at changing the system or the structure of governance that actually makes looting possible?
Impossible.
That makes it possible.
Okay, to change it. Yes, to change it. Well, I think I also told that line of thought, because you can't stop a man from eating, but you can take the food away from him. If you don't have the food, if he has access to the food, he will steal it. But if he doesn't have access to the food, he won't steal it.
Well, he's supposed to have access to the food to distribute to the rest.
That's what I'm saying. So what you need to do is that, like, for instance, when this issue of BVN and then the TSA came on board, I mean, they helped to a very large extent to curtail some excesses. So if you know you do not have the political will to punish people, then what you need to do is to tighten the noose or the nooses, or maybe wherever you have any loose end, you tighten them. You make it impossible for people to have access to all these funds. For instance, now we still have, if you want to pay some fees in some government agencies, you still have to carry cash. I mean, on the one hand, the government is promoting the issue of cashless system. So if you don't have any interface with people who have to exchange cash, that's also part of the way you can also contain. So rather, if the government doesn't have that political will to punish those who are, I mean, the airy ones, what you need to do is to change the system and make it impossible for people to steal. In that case, we'll have less thieves than all this issue of having a list here and there.
Okay, the NBS came out with some statistics and reports some time ago saying that about over 7 million people have lost their jobs. The Transparency International also came up to say that Nigeria has fell down and not performed well on the Corruption Perception Index. We have all of these reports flying here and there and all of that. If we have to really make, the Minister of Information has said that we are expecting another list, and this list is going to surprise Nigerians, because the first and the second list didn't surprise anyone.
No, not surprise, shock.
Shock. Okay, fine. Shock is even better. Shock is more, it captures it better. Now, how shocking are we? What kind of shock are we expecting? Are we expecting to see members of the ruling party, especially from the perspective of Transparency International and all of this indices going on right now?
Yeah. The reality is, what Alhaji Lai Mohammed, the Information Minister, has done is to test the water. Let's throw this out and let's see people's reaction. And I always tell you that, I mentioned the last time I was there, that the government always have a way of swaying us from what is real. The reality is that we are now chasing the looters. We've forgotten about the Chibok or the Dapchi girls.
Or even governance.
Or even governance. So what we are chasing now is, even about APC crisis, we are no longer talking about it. It's on the total list. But the reality is this. She asked the question the other time that, is it the fundamental of the system? The system has to change. This system is not working for us, except we are deceiving ourselves. We said looters list. We said they are plunderers. We said they are people preferring our resources. Somebody in Taraba State election was nullified by a Supreme Court that is not supposed to be there, which means it's been paid for some number of years in our chamber. Our head of National Assembly took that person again as a special advisor on special duties. In what country will that system work? In a country whereby a judge is having his mother's or his father's birthday party and a son is offering 50 million as a gift, is that civilization, is that democracy? So what you keep on having is that if you still run this kind of a system,
is still defending
whereby the big wigs in SAN will be the one to go and meet which judge will be over this case. You remember that was the time Justice Mercy Aokuleyin, I was doing the case of James Ibori, who was the only one always handling EFCC case, and they are going to be losing every time. So the reality is that we have to change the system. And in terms of NBC statistics, we are not yet there. Because the reality now is that even the unemployment index is a bit lower in my own reasoning, because election is coming up, they are recruiting thugs, they are recruiting campaigners, and all those things.
So
and
there
can be sure
now.
There is job now. So the 70 million is minus those boys that are already working for politicians. By the time they finish election, possibly by February, March 2018, they throw them to the street. And you remember at that time, after every election, the crime rate normally increase.
Yeah.
So what happened now is that the boys are already been absorbed back to the system, either as Peace Corps or Police Corps or whatever corps, or as campaigners or this and that, buying t-shirts for them. After the election, we'll still have that problem. And TIA is also right in their own estimate, because the only set of employed people in Nigeria are politicians, the political class. Every other person, like we normally say in our place, that we have staffs and workers. In Nigerian system, every other person is a worker.
And Charles, really, with the TI perception index, corruption perception index, it looks like the more we fight corruption, the more we are seen as corrupt, even more corrupt than when we started the fight.
Yeah, but the factors are very glaring to all of us. I mean, all those questions, Dr.
Okonjo-Iweala said fighting corruption is dangerous.
It's dangerous. Yes. Here in Africa, of course, because I will not fail to always mention the ethno-religious sentiments in all this. If you had a northern president, for instance, and you had someone of Igbo extraction facing corruption, people will tell you it's against Igbo interest. Sure. Nobody will look at the issue concerning why the person has been dogged. If it's Yoruba, oh, it's against Yoruba, it's against Arewa interest. These are the things that have been deviling the fight against corruption, and it will be with us for a long time. Except we go the way of Rwanda. In Rwanda, there's no Tutsi, there's no Husi. Everybody is a Rwandan. Yeah. So nobody speak about, oh, I am from, nobody even talk about religion. You must see yourself as a Rwandan, or else the law will come against you. So except we get to that point, and then of course we also stop even official support for religion. Yeah. I just read that you spend about 250 billion every month, every year. Sending people on pilgrimages to go and pray for tap water, to go and pray for roads.
When there are things we can actually fix.
Exactly, with those things. So that's what I'm saying, that, but the perception is, the corruption perception is that we continue when we have not been able to deal with the ethno-religious sentiments that have continued to bedevil whatever we have in Nigeria. If we continue like this, even the government has come, even if you bring somebody, okay, let's even borrow, who is working in that, let's even borrow, give me a president working over, okay, even the president I just left, the Chilean president.
Kagame.
No, Chilean president.
Oh, okay.
That lady that really did well. People were shedding tears when she left. Let's borrow her to Africa, or borrow her to Nigeria.
The Chilean president.
They won't do well.
But bring that woman here to Nigeria. I'm telling you, by
so
4 years,
something
or even Kagame.
That they even say he has to be there forever.
Exactly.
But bring Paul Kagame here from let's outsource him to us. In 3 years, the social media we asking for them.
All right, Nii, let me come to you on this as we are almost rounding off. Now, Charles was saying earlier on, when TSA and BAVN were brought on board, they said they were going to curb corruption. Here we are, few years afterwards, it's still as normal. In fact, up to now, there are some accounts, heavy accounts, that are said not to be attached to any BVN. They're still looking for who owns the monies and all of that. Now, a lot of people have talked about restructuring, which I'll deduce from what you were saying. The system is not working. The system has to change. Now, if we are seeing it from that perspective, what kind of system can we adopt to really reduce this corruption? Because it seems that is the biggest challenge Nigeria has in going forward.
Yeah, I think the first system is to ensure that we put all political officers on salary level. That is one. Two,
but are they not on salary level?
No, on whatever a civil servant of level 14 is earning should just be above that level. Because the reality now is that the highest paid job in this country is even to be an SA, not even an elected public official. Then again, the issue of all of us going to the Abuja on the 26th of every month to go and share. You know, some government are so lazy that they don't do anything. They know that when it is 26th of every month, we have the federal allocation, I will go and sit. And so let everybody, and that's why I said this system is not working. We need to have our own system. You ask yourself, what system were we running before that they were able to put all those oil palm in the east, they were able to put cocoa farm here, Granite pyramid was working in the north. What system were we running? Are those politicians heavily paid and what we have here? People celebrate achievements. They have some people to come back to power. They are not called political leaders because they are either APC or PDP or so. What we first need to do is that we need to change our system of governance. This system of having a bicameral system of legislative is not working. This system where we have power concentrated at the center is not working. This system where we have a central police is not working. This system where we have a central custom service is not working. A system whereby you say, we people, which people?
Charles,
my father was not part of that decision.
A final one.
Fathers are not.
Would people loot the treasury if they had a sense of future security, that after I have served my fatherland, there is something to look forward to, whether as a civil servant or even a worker in the private sector?
Sure. Well, the thing is, I think the reality is that how did it all begin? It began from when Murtala Mohammed took over in 1976, 1975, precisely. What did he do? That was when you had super pump sex. So people overnight
were sacked.
So from there on, people now say, oh, they are no longer sure of tomorrow. So the job security was taken away from. So that's why you have people today. They don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. So take whatever you can take now. If anything happens, just part with a bit of it, and then you go back with the loot. You also have seen this issue of pre-bargaining. This is also federal system. But I say, even if you want us to go see geopolitical zones about this restructuring, what you need is that what is in the center that will be replicated in all this geopolitical. What you need to do is that let's do what Lee Kuan Yew did. What he did was that pay the professors what the bankers are earning. All these civil servants, empower them economically. If they earn more money, I mean, if for instance the policeman that is being paid 5,000 naira, all of a sudden he's earning about 250,000 naira.
What about a credit-based society that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu recommended some time ago? Well, yes, where you have a mortgage system, you don't have to pay 2 years rent.
The system,
the reality is that if you want to buy a car,
not even repayment. The question is that
the failure will be very high.
Who is going to get a mortgage? Who is qualified for the mortgage? Who regulates how to get a mortgage?
But if we have to look at these things, actually there are institutions now lending monies to people without any collateral. So it means it's workable. It's just that the interest rate might be...
No, it's workable because those are private organizations. Exactly. Don't forget that the mentality of every Nigerian is that anything that is government is a national...
That's what I said. But that's why we are saying... But that's why we're saying government can actually bring in the private sector to handle this on their behalf.
At that point, let me take for example, when Akin Umambode was trying to do Lagos land use charge, the draft, there was a point they wrote there that Alpha Beta will... You see the way as if we don't know that Alpha Beta was working for the state government. So the reality is that when anything that is government, the reality is that why are you giving it to ABC? Why not giving it to SDF?
Okay.
So that's a system.
We have to leave it here now.
They are real.
Obani Akinwale, thank you so much for coming on the program. And Charles Ideho, thank you so much for coming as well.